Hello, today we're going to be looking at measures of central tendency. A measure of central tendency is also known as an average. So when I say, what's the average of such and such, there are actually several different answers. We're going to look at three of them, the first of which is the mean, which is typically what people mean when they say the average. So here is the mathematical formula for the mean, where x bar is the symbol for the mean. X are the different values, so the different numbers that you're dealing with. This sign means the sum of. It is the Greek capital letter sigma, so S, sigma, sum. So it means we're going to add up the values, and then n is the number of values. So we add up the values and then divide by how many values we have. Something that most people have been doing for quite a while. So we're going to do two examples of it. Example 1, Becky had the following quiz scores. Find her mean quiz score. So her quiz scores were an 80, a 76, an 85, a 92, and a 90. So to find the mean, I'm going to add up the values and then divide by 5, which is the number of quiz scores she had. And if I do that, I should get 84.6. So the mean is an average, which again is a measure of central tendency. Central meaning the center. So this 84.6 has to be somewhere in the center or somewhere in the middle of our values. So if I had gotten x bar to be 94, I should realize that something happened because 94 is not in the middle of these values, right? It's above everything. So make sure that your answer makes sense, that it is actually in the middle. So as another example, we're going to look at Bill's quiz scores. So Bill's in a different class than Becky. He only has 4 quiz scores, so n is 4. And his grades are an 85, an 83, a 92, and a 0. So if I want to find his mean, I add up those 4 numbers, divide by 4, and I'll get 65. So again, 65 is somewhere in the middle. But if we just told you that Becky's mean was an 84.6 and Bill's mean was a 65, you would probably think that Bill was a much worse student than Becky. But if you look back at their scores themselves, most of them are very similar. It's just that 0 that Bill has for some reason or another really brought down the mean. So the mean isn't necessarily the best way to find the middle of the numbers, which is why we have more than one. So we're going to do another measure of central tendency and see how that feels for Becky and Bill's quiz scores. So the next measure of central tendency is called the median. And the median, which is denoted by x with a squiggle line above it called x tilde, is the middle value when the values are arranged in numerical order. So we're going to find Becky's median quiz score. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put her quiz scores in numerical order. So it's very important that they're in order. Whether it's increasing or decreasing doesn't matter. And if we look, we have 5 quiz scores. And if n is odd, which in this case it is, n is 5, then there is an actual middle. Whoops. And if I wanted to find the middle, I just go to the middle. And in general, if I have, again, say n values and I want to find the middle, I take n plus 1 so that it's an even number, and I divide by 2. And that is the spot where the median is. So in our case, n is 5, so 5 plus 1 over 2 is 6 over 2, which is 3. So it's in the third spot. So 1, 2, 3. Or again, if I had done it the other way, 1, 2, 3. So again, if n is odd, there is a middle value. But if we go back to Bill's quiz scores, he only had 4, and that's not an odd number. So Bill only has 4, 0, 83, 85, and 92. Again, we're going to put them in order. But the problem is there is no middle number, right? If you have 4 children, there is no middle child. So what we do is we take the 2 middle and we find the mean of them. So I take 83 plus 85 and divide it by 2. So his median is an 84. And in general, if there are, again, n values, I take n over 2 plus the next value. And then divide that all by 2. So again, not just n over 2, but that spot. All right, so n in our case is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'm going to take the second and then the next value, the third. And I'm going to find the average of those two. Okay? And also, again, if we look at the medians, they are, in general, I think in this case, much more indicative of Becky and Bill as a student. Becky's median, 85, is very close to her mean. If we remember, that was an 84.6. And again, that's very much in the middle here. For Bill, remember his mean was a 65, which wasn't a very good indication of his grades, getting rid of that 0. His median is an 84. That's much more indicative of his 83, 85, and 92. So sometimes the median is a better example of the middle than the mean. The last one we're going to look at is the mode. The mode is the value or values that occur the most frequently. We have a couple of different options we can have. We can have a data set that is called unimodal, which means there's one value that occurs more than any other value. We can have a set that's called bimodal, so there are two values that occur more than any other value, and those two values occur the same number of times. Or we can have no mode, and this is two different cases. Either all the values occur the same number of times, or there are 3 plus modes. So sometimes you will call that multimodal, but in our case we're just going to go with 3 is too many to concern ourselves with, and we're just going to call it no mode. So we're going to do some examples of data sets and finding the mode. So our first example, we have all these numbers. The thing that you're going to want to do here is put them in numerical order. So just like if I asked you to find the median, I want to put them in order. So I have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. And if you put them in order, then you'll see right away which one do I have more of. And hopefully we can see that we've got more 1s than anything else. So the mode in this case is 1. As our next example, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. I'll put them in order. And if we notice, all 3 of our values occur 3 times. So this is an example of no mode. They all occur the same number of times. Another example, again, I'm going to put them in numerical order first. Be really careful when you do this. Make sure you're not skipping over any of them or you're not accidentally doubling them. So after you write them in order, you always want to make sure you have the same number of values. So count the number of values in the beginning, count the number of values after you've put them in order, and make sure that they're the same. And if we see here, we've got 3 5s and 3 4s. Every other value occurs no more than twice. So this is an example of something that's bimodal. There are 2 modes, 4 and 5. So this is the only case where you can have a measure of central tendency be more than one number. Okay, there's only ever one mean, there's only ever one median, but there can be 2 modes. There can also be no mode. And as our last example, again, we've got a bunch of numbers. I'll put them in order. And then if we look, we've got 3 3s, 3 2s, 3 1s, and again, everything else occurs at most twice. Since there are 3, we call that no mode. Okay. So look over the homework, try it out, read the book, and let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.